Friday the 13th September marks the day where Eminem dropped the expanded Mourners edition of the Death of Slim Shady. Just over 2 months since the launch of that very album. And it's safe to say that the stands out there were very excited to see what this expanded edition would bring to the table and would it make any difference to what the Death of Slim Shady is. And those expectations were met quite highly when we got this really high produced video that seemingly even teased the idea of Alchemist being involved in some form of production. But it didn't just stop there, because as it turns out, the milk container that Eminem drops in that video actually started appearing around random stores worldwide, including your local Tesco. The marketing for the expanded edition was on point, if we're being completely honest. And that generally goes for the rest of the Death of Slim Shady album launch rollout. The marketing has been spectacular for it. Genuinely, props to Em and his team. But maybe it was a bit too good, because then we had this leak come out that kind of suggested to everyone who had maybe kind of built their hype and anticipation up for what this expanded edition was going to include, that was about to tear those expectations all the way to the ground. And when this sort of first came out, I was genuinely kind of confused as to whether it was true or not. Some of the ways that people seemed to be getting a leak sort of seemed a bit tricky, but I kept seeing these comments sort of pop up being like, it's fake. Someone then would reply to it with proof of the evidence, and then they'll be like, oh, you're actually right. And that kind of taught me to just lower my expectations, keep hope high, and just see what happens on the day. That was essentially what it boiled down to. A lot of people, I think, were kind of hoping for a side B. Me personally, I wasn't building my expectations up anywhere near that level, I would say. Side B, you have to remember, that was during a time where Eminem was locked inside because COVID, so he had all this extra time to just produce music. And side B, in my opinion, up until everything before the Death of Slim Shady, I would say that actually has some of his best stuff of this like new modern era of Eminem. So I wasn't ever expecting like a side B type project. When I was speaking to a friend of the channel, Versatile Variety, we were kind of like thinking how many tracks are there going to be. We reckon they were going to use both of the like bonus pre-order editions, but we kind of had our hopes up for about like a good 4 or 5 new tracks, something kind of along the lines of like how Refill was for Relapse. So on Thursday evening, went to bed, woke up the next day. Surprisingly, I was actually awake at like 5:30. That was not intentional for me, but I sort of realised what time it was, and I kind of thought, hey, the album must be out now, or at least the expanded edition should be out by now. Go check my phone, and we're actually introduced, in my opinion, to a really sick cover. I love the cover of the expanded edition, and that kind of like, I instantly saw that, and my dopamine hit, and I was like, oh shit, this actually could be it. This could be like an amazing little like extra piece to add on to the Death of Slim Shady. I'm super excited now because of how dope this cover looked. But then unfortunately, it turns out you get to the bottom of that page and it's exactly what the leak said it would be. 4 new tracks, if you want to be technical about it. However, 2 of those tracks, they were there on launch day. They were just there for people in the US only who were able to pre-order the album in 2 special editions, I think they did. Then they ended up doing 3 when they added on the Steve Berman edition. I think with that edition they even added both the tracks as well. So for all those people who had pre-ordered and have all 3 of the tracks that were already released, I can understand the frustration with this deluxe edition, expanded edition, whatever. However, I would kind of argue against that in the sense of like, if you're outside the USA, if you were in the USA and you didn't actually get a chance to pre-order them because they were only there for a limited time, it's kind of nice to actually be able to listen to those songs on streaming now without any issue in terms of like having to find some random rabbit hole on YouTube that takes you to this weird, not high quality version of the song or songs. So what I'm going to read to you now is basically, it's on my Discord. It's going to be a quick promo. Go and check out the Discord channel if you're into vinyl collecting, Eminem, music in general. You might want to go and check it out because it's just a nice place to sort of hang out with some people and chat music and chat shit with people, because that's what I wanted to do. This is also going to be the final video that I'm going to put out, which is like for the exclusive like OG membership kind of thing. It's nothing you have to pay for, by the way. It's just if you join the Discord before a certain time, you'll have like a special thing next to your name, and I might be able to like use that in the future to give you free shit maybe. So join now. But I'll quickly go over what my sort of instant thoughts were at 6:17 AM in the morning, and it goes like this. To be honest, I'm glad to have access to the bonus tracks because they were only available in the US, and it's a ball ache to find them on YouTube. Both of those tracks are fun at the very least. The Fuel Shady version is a bit weird, and I think the hook on it is just a bit ruined because it's just sped up. The artist on it just reminds you Shady Records is a bit mid and they don't really add much. M's part is cool, but nothing stands out. I'll listen to it as my main album because I didn't really like the ending when I listened to Somebody Save Me. Felt like a track list should continue after it. Steve Berman Skit is fine as well, however disappointing to a certain degree, mainly due to the heavy marketing, which in my opinion should have made an effort to tell us at least what was being released, how to fix it. I genuinely would, unironically, he should have actually, what is my writing? What I mean to say here is, unironically, he should have seen the reaction to the leak, gone into the vault and put out an unreleased Relapse track or two, and it would have been enough to make people happy. Otherwise, the cover's sick. And there is my 6:17 AM review. So I won't say that was the most fairest review of this like little expanded edition thing. Honestly, now it's like been the full weekend, I kind of enjoy it. It's a little bit of fun, extra stuff to add on there. I will also say, I think it was pretty harsh of me to say that the Shady Records guys are mid. Now I've had some time to digest it, what I will say is that I think Westside Boogie starts off the song, and I think out of him and Grip, I think he probably has the better verse. However, what I would say about Grip is, I feel like he has a lot more fun on the track and kind of stands out for that reason. Which then moves you on to the Eminem Fuel remix bit, and I've seen a little bit of discussion about it because like the vocals sound a bit weird, but when you kind of realize what he's doing, it's literally like Slim Shady and Marshall Mathers, they're now one, doing like a verse together as the same person, if that makes sense. I will say I do like the kind of like when each rapper starts, there's that kind of like, I'm not sure how to put it, like choir-like sound that sort of like starts off each verse, which I think is a really nice thing for it to have. I think it's actually pretty solid and it's a fun listen regardless of any actual criticism towards it. And also Eminem showing love to his actual guys on his record label, and you've kind of got to admire that to some extent and just kind of like appreciate the fact he's showing love to like the younger generation of rappers. I also think Like My Shit, that's grown on me the most. I think out of the two bonus tracks, like let's be honest, they do feel like bonus tracks. There's like enough of them to feel like they can belong on the album, but just like there's something missing, like just needs that little extra time in the oven to really be considered like Slim Shady songs, which is kind of what a bonus track to me should be. It shouldn't be something where if you're gonna not pre-order it and they're not on there, you feel like you're missing something. But I think Like My Shit is the one that I kind of ended up vibing with the most. I think I really like the hook on there, and Eminem's rapping all throughout is like really top quality. I think my favorite bit on that is like the disgusting bar where he then says like, talks about how much he grossed. I really like that little bit of the song. Then you get the next song on there, which is Kyrie and Luca, which it's more of a 2 Chainz song to me with Eminem featured on it. It's another one of those instances. And I'll be real, 2 Chainz fucking did his thing on that track. I really like 2 Chainz' section. It might actually be my favorite of the track. But again, I really love the beat switch and what Eminem ends up rapping over. I think is really cool. And then there's the other bit I haven't mentioned, which is the Steve Berman skit, which to me feels very out of place. Like out of everything, it's kind of like the thing that just doesn't work on the album, mainly for the thing of like, to me, every time I hear it, I know it's part of that marketing thing they did where it's like you rang the number to try and find Slim Shady or report him missing. It then drops you to his voicemail essentially. And to me, it doesn't really fully work in the context of listening to the album, but it's cool that it's on there. Now, a lot of Eminem fans are very disappointed in what we received, especially with the marketing that led up to it, the implication that Alchemist was going to be part of the production. But I think due to the implications of the marketing, fans just got riled up to a frenzy and just thinking that this was going to be like another side B or just like something like a refill, which is kind of what I thought it was going to be more geared towards. But then it just ended up being a regular kind of expanded edition. Just there's a little extra for you. Nothing really worth mentioning though. Which to me is a shame, because when you look at all the other like deluxe editions that have dropped for Eminem albums, they've been pretty solid. I think my least favorite would probably be Recovery. Like that one literally was only 2 extra songs. Relapse obviously has Refill, which is almost like a mini side B. Music to Be Murdered By is a complete new album added to it. I think a fairer comparison for what people probably should have expected for the Death of Slim Shady is something like the Marshall Mathers LP2, which to me brings you one of his most best songs with Sia. Genuinely, I love Beautiful Pain. I think that is a perfect song that makes a deluxe expanded edition whatever worth waiting for and wanting to see. And it does make me question Eminem's team, because I feel like they were probably caught up with the whole, like, this was a great week. It's the perfect week for them to, like, release an expanded edition. You have Friday the 13th, which obviously fits in with the whole Eminem, Jason kind of hockey mask thing, and just, like, it's the perfect day for Eminem, especially with the Death of Slim Shady. You also had the VMAs. It's also basically a week after when, I'm pretty sure it was a week, they at least did the music video for LL Cool J's Murdergram song, and the marketing was going perfectly in hand with when everything was coming out, and you couldn't ask for a better week to pick to release an expanded edition. And it makes me question, like, what was Eminem's team thinking in terms of like how they were promoting it? And I feel like the thing that kind of was like the cherry on top is what they released after they released the expanded edition. Because if you look on the caption, it uses the line that's used in Guilty Conscience Part 2, saying, "There, you got what you wanted." And a lot of people started clowning on that, particularly on Reddit, which is not really the best place to be, but it was being said. And there's a part of me which wonders, is that a bit of a dig at the community? Maybe, maybe not, but it's possible. Like, as soon as that leak came out and the like reaction from the fans happened, like, I know there's like literally they had like 2 or 3 days to work on to like add something to it if they wanted to. But when I was saying in my like Discord thing about they should have seen the reaction and literally added like some unreleased song from the vault, that would have helped at least like soften the blow. That's what I would say. And I feel like an unreleased Relapse 2 track would probably fit well in the realm of the Death Slim Shady, and again would have softened the impact of how fans reacted, or at least like they saw the leak but there was a song that wasn't included in there and still got people excited to see something extra was being added. So what is the real takeaway from all this? As fans, maybe we shouldn't get our hopes up too much. If Eminem's team are going to market something as well as they did, include in your marketing what's going to be released. Because if you said in the marketing 4 new tracks, 1's a remix, 2 of the songs that got released at this launch, but they're being made available to everyone now, and a fun skit on there, people would know what to expect at that point and not build up these unrealistic expectations for this expanded edition. Expanded editions, it's what it says on the tin, it's just a little bit extra to add to the previous edition that was already there. And for me, it's good enough. Like, Eminem's still dropping music at his age. He's still rapping as well as he is. And we need to remember, this type of shit is the reason why he didn't do a proper launch or rollout for Kamikaze, Music to be Murdered By, did the slightest bit with Side B. Like, to some extent, we do need to be grateful that we're getting Eminem marketing and actually doing album rollouts. And let's be fair, it's not like it ruined anything from the actual project itself. So where do we go from here with Eminem? I feel like this is the kind of like bow tie on top of the Death of Slim Shady. Do I think it's possible they're going to add anything else to the Death of Slim Shady? I feel like this expanded edition is the sort of bow on top of everything, and I feel like he's sort of done with it now. Maybe there is potential after seeing the sort of like backlash, if you want to call it like that. There could be a chance that he does like some form of like refill type thing or a side B, but I feel like really he's done with the whole Slim Shady thing. That's what he wanted to do with the Death of Slim Shady, put it to bed, put the whole Slim Shady thing to rest. I reckon from now, give it a year or 2, I think we're probably going to get Eminem's last full album, which I'm still pitching to be King Mathers. Like, I genuinely feel like that'd be a great title to bring back from a project he didn't release, and use that as his like retirement album maybe. And maybe in between there, what I would really love to see is, obviously I'd love to see Relapse 2. I don't think that's happening, but I would love to see like a bit of a From the Vaults sort of album type thing. That's what I would love to see, in like kind of like a holdover period from whenever his next, most likely in my opinion, his final album. I think something to hold us over to that is what we're going to get with like unreleased shit, which I would genuinely love to see, because there's a couple of leaks out there which I've listened to, which I wish I could just listen to on streaming at any point, but not gonna happen. And let's just appreciate the fact that we got new Eminem stuff, because I'm always going to be appreciative of that. But what did you think of the expanded Mourners edition of the Death of Slim Shady? Did it meet your expectations? Did it not? What would you like to have actually seen on it? And what do you think is actually next for Eminem? Let me know down in the comments. Subscribe for more content based around music, particularly Eminem, but also just vinyl collecting in general. I've been Ollie Rodriguez Dolman. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.